Alright guys, what's going on? So this is video number 2 for today. I actually just finished uploading and getting everything set up for the video that you guys watched last time, which was me driving my F100. So I'm hoping this video I'll be able to finish it in time to upload it so everything works out. But we're going to be working on the white car today. So my F100 drives, it's got some wiring issues and little things here and there, but I want to kind of just finish that project, start working on something else, because I can move the F100 and drive it around. It's not too big a deal. I can start putting miles on it. So the one thing I want to start getting figured out is the sheet metal work on these two cars. So right here we have an AMD trunk floor. So this is the main trunk. It's very large. It's one whole piece that will slide in to replace this old one that we cut out in the previous video. But for now, I'm basically going to work on getting all of the old material cut out, so hopefully we can get a new material put in. So as you can see, I've got some body filler down over here I got to figure out on the lead seam. I'm going to strip the rest of this lower half to see what I want to keep. Basically, I'm going to cut on the top half of this green line and just cut everything from there down off. On the outside, these are two pieces of metal that are pinched together at the bottom. The outside material that you can see, I'm going to cut off. See what I got to work with on the inside. I have a feeling that's all junk too. And then with this car, we're gonna work on starting to get the quarter panels off of this one. We're doing a full quarter replacement on this car and just a skin on the white one. So we're gonna use this skin on that car, and then my car gets the brand new sheet metal, obviously. So as you can see with the old filler panel, this thing was really beat up. So we have a new one that we're gonna start mocking up in the white car, but they kind of have to work together. So I'm gonna be bouncing back between the two cars pretty consistently over the next week or so, because I have to use sheet metal from this car to fix this one and vice versa. So yeah, but you can see our roof is about done on this car, which is good. We just I gotta go ahead and finish this lead seam part right here, and then a couple other things up there, and I think we'll be just about good on that. But the one thing I'm also gonna do is start stripping back this area so I can kind of see what I got to work with. You can see some pinholes. I know this quarter isn't as bad, but I know there's filler in it. I can tell it's a lot thinner, which is good, but I know I got a piece of fiberglass right here. I can feel it on the back, so I want to kind of strip this area and kind of see what I got going on. It also kind of sucks because I'm working in a mud hole because it rained like a few days ago, and that's kind of what sucks about working in the dirt over here. So all you guys that work outside in the dirt, salute you guys. Alright guys, going to take a break in today's video to talk about today's video sponsor, Blaster. Now you guys have seen me use their products in a variety of different videos on all sorts of cars. What we're going to be talking about today is the Multi-Max lubricant. So this I use every single time I'm working on an old car, whether it be a door hinge or a squeaky hood hinge or a part that doesn't want to move. This stuff works amazing. But if you guys haven't heard, Blaster actually came out with a new patent design called the Pro Straw, and this is actually a patented design by Blaster that allows you to adjust the amount of fluid coming out, so you don't overspray or underspray what you're trying to use, so you can use and narrow down the product to exactly the spot that you're trying to get. This patent design includes a dual spray pattern and volume adjuster that allows you to control the flow of the product for each specific application. For widespread coverage, position the Pro Straw in the down position and spray. For pinpoint spray, flip the straw up. To control the volume, flip the Pro Straw up and adjust the volume controller slider until the desired flow is reached. The clear straw on the side also allows you to monitor the flow of the product onto your application. It's not like one of those red or black straws that you just can't see where the product is. This is the longest lasting lubrication and protection against corrosion, which reduces friction and wear in different parts. And it's an odorless formula, so it doesn't smell weird, and it has a ton of different applications, from things like door hinges to window tracks to lawnmowers to garden equipment, chains and locks, all sorts of different moving parts you can use this stuff for. It's a very generic use product, which is what I like it for, because it's not just tailored to one thing. I can use the crud out of it and use it on all sorts of different products, whether it be just for car stuff, engine stuff, all sorts of other parts. It doesn't even have to be car related. This stuff comes in handy a lot. I use this on motorcycles, a lot of the chain stuff and moving parts on there as well. It works awesome. This stuff also outperforms the leading competitor in 6 ASTM tests. It is made by the Rust Belt Warriors right here in America. Blaster Corporation has been around since 1957 and manufactured different penetrants, lubricants, rust inhibitors, and a full line of specialty high concentrated formulas for the automotive, industrial, and hardware industries. Known for PB'Blaster, the #1 selling penetrant, Blaster delivers products born from professional applications. As Rust Belt Warriors, we can promise that by the time a Blaster product ends up in your hands, it's only because the pros have confirmed it's the best. Now, I know for a fact I'm not a total pro at what I do, but I can guarantee you, take it from me, this stuff I use in almost every single video, whether you see it or not. I'm using this stuff, whether it be to move a part around. This stuff comes in handy. So I just want to give a massive thank you once again to Blaster for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back into it. we got so far. So I finished stripping down the side of the quarter panel, and this just never ends. Not terrible. I don't want to, you know, overdo it here, but there's a fat crease right here. You can see that was hiding under all the Bondo that's on the floor. This is all filler. The bottom of the quarter has a dent, a pretty good dent. Not too bad. I can see that somebody put some studs in there and tried pulling this, which is good. Like, somebody at least pulled them out. You can see right there, they were basically, I don't know if they were just spot welding tabs on and then using a slide hammer. It's kind of what that looks like. I would have used a flat, like, you know, probably 2-inch, 3-inch wide bar and then tried pulling it with a slide hammer. But I'm gonna try to pull this out more. I didn't want to have to buy a stud gun, but I think I'm gonna have to, just because. And then there's a dent right here. So I'm gonna try to pull this the best I can. It's not as bad as the other side. The other side's way worse. So this side we can tolerate and we can deal with. Again, none of this I even wanted to do, but I don't really have much of a choice at this point. You can see somebody took, like, this is marks from a flap disc and a grinder. So I'm speaking to the guys that are probably, like, you know, not as experienced car guys. When you want to do any sort of body work, do not touch a grinder. Don't use a grinder ever, because this is what happens. So you can see the metal, it ends up getting really pitted. I don't know if you guys are there, now you can kind of see it. See all those, like, scarring marks down this thing? The circular marks, those will never come out of the metal. That's basically, every time you see a spark come off a grinder, that's a piece of metal that's gone. So that's what's happened down this whole part right here. Basically, because somebody didn't have a tool like that, which is the Eastwood Contour with a paint stripping wheel on it, so it doesn't damage the metal. You can see how clean the metal is right here. And then they just want to get the paint off quick. So instead of using a sander, if you don't have anything else, just go get 60 or 80 grit on a DA and just DA it. Or chemically strip it, but don't use a grinder. This is what happens. So that's very bad for the metal. You'll get a ton of low spots and you'll have to do a bunch of filler later anyways. So try to stay away from a grinder if you can. But anyways, so I've kind of marked it out just, you know, with my finger in the dust. You can see I'm gonna go straight up, and just below this line, I'm gonna go straight over. See the dents down here, and then I'll go straight down. And then they'll basically replace this whole piece, and I'll basically peel it off, take the one off of that car, stitch weld any, you know, rust spots in it that I need to fix, and then I'll be able to weld this piece back on. So it'll get a lot better than what this is. The car's not going to be perfectly laser straight, unfortunately. I just don't have, I mean, I'm doing it outside, so give me a break. I don't really have the greatest of tooling, but we're going to work with what we got. So I'm going to go ahead and finish stripping the other side, and then I'm going to start stenciling this out, getting this old stuff cut out, and then I'm just really trying to hammer out the metal work on this car, so I want to get it done as quickly as I can. So I just cut that car up, so that one's good to go. Now I gotta transition over this one and figure out where I want to cut. So this one's got some rust, so I'm gonna have to fix it, but I know it's not as bad as that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and strip this one back, see where all the rust spots are. The good thing is I know this car doesn't have even close to the same amount of filler as that one did. So I'll probably just get this thing close, and I'll start actually, I'm just gonna cut this section out like I did on this one. So there's a lot of metal that's gonna be getting moved around today, so I'm gonna get at it. Alright, well, I'm about to cut the side of my car off. And this is one of the most nerve-wracking things I think I've ever done. But you never know unless you try. So I'm Craig and I'm 22 years old and I'm about to cut the side of a 64 Galaxie off. Let's do it. All right, now we got the wheels off. This thing really looks torn apart. So I had to take the wheels off because we're about to pull this panel off. As you guys saw, I cut this thing all the way around. To get the bottom off, instead of just cutting along the seam like a lot of guys do, I actually have to split it from this side instead of this side. Normally you would just cut it and then come in from this side and split it off. I have to split it from this side because I need to save this panel for that car. And so basically on the side, you guys probably could just barely see the dimples on this thing. There you might be able to see it in the light, but there's a bunch of spot welds. So I gotta go down this whole thing and split all these little guys. And they go all the way up and around this thing. So I gotta split all these things and get this thing pulled off on the bottom. And then once it's off on the bottom, I can basically just relief cut down and down. This whole thing will peel off in one big piece. And I can transfer that piece over to here. I gotta do a patch on this wheelhouse right here. And once I get the wheelhouse cleaned up, I'll just basically slip this thing over like a sticker, and then I'll cut it again and stitch weld it in. What? You guys just saw that, right? Oh my god. Bro, a freaking key just fell out of the quarter panel. Ha! That's so cool. Whoa. Damn. Alright, well, that escalated quickly. Now you can see I've got 50% of the quarter off. I still got to get this back section off and the top part, but this gives me a pretty good look at inside. The good thing is this outer wheelhouse looks great. Minus me with a punch, I split that. But I can weld that shut again. Clean this thing up. I'll sand and redo everything in here, and then I'll undercoat this whole inside area so it looks a lot better. But this one's in good shape. I am gonna tub my car just because I'm already in here. It's not hard to do, really, to be honest. And since I'm already here, we're probably gonna extend these wheel tubs out. You won't be able to see it up, harsh sliding, and then I'll redo those. But I might modify this wheelhouse. We might cut it and then, you know, reshape it a little bit so I can fit a fatter tire in here. I don't really have to worry about it because the issue with these cars isn't really fitting the wheel inside the fender, but you can see the wheelhouse tapers in a lot. So if I can get this to go more straight up and down, because this is just a bunch of dead space right here. This, you know, in between where the fender would mount and the body, it's just a bunch of dead space. So if we can get that to go pretty much almost straight up with the body, I think it would be a lot better. I can get the car a lot lower with a lot fatter tire and it'll work a lot better. But that's just a concept. I may or may not do it. We'll see. And so if you guys didn't understand quite what I was doing before, this is it. So I took it off of the red car to put it into this one because as you can see already, this one's in a lot better shape for this section at least. And then there was a big dent on the white car's fender down low. So this is all nice and clean. So I'm just putting all nice, shiny, bright and shiny metal into this car. So I'm not going to use everything I cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing probably way down here and then cut it back here again. But we're going to get this thing close. I'm going to get the rest of the old panel off the white car and just kind of get this thing fitted. And hopefully I'll have this thing welded in today or tomorrow. The one thing I also noticed, because I'm kind of teaching myself this whole thing as I go and I haven't really done this before, these little spot weld drilling bits, you can get these at Harbor Freight in the welding section. They're like $4 a piece. They work pretty good. Problem is they skip all over the place. So, as you can see, initially I was drilling all the way through because that was the only thing I could think to do. And then I went ahead and I ended up drilling much smaller holes. And you can see I used that rotary drill bit. And then that basically gave me a spot that would hold this centering piece, and then when I would drill it, it would drill through only that first layer and not through the second layer. So I'm gonna come back, I can go ahead and weld on this. This is gonna be a little bit harder to weld up. I still can, it's just a little bit harder. This also made it easier to split the panel because it kept the metal flat. And when you drill it, it kind of smushes them together again, so it makes it kind of a pain. But yeah, it's just kind of a tip for me that I learned, so hopefully it helps you guys out. All right, guys, I got this panel pretty much done. Minus I gotta clean up these all these drill out marks because this isn't a used panel. Got all the holes welded up. This thing was full of holes. You guys might remember when it was on the red car, I got them all welded up. And then I got pretty much everything straight enough. I mean, this thing's not laser straight, but you could probably put a couple coats of high build filler on it, or not even high build filler, high build primer, and sand it and you wouldn't even notice. So I'm pretty happy with the way that came out. Smooth, looks good. Everything's bare metal right now. You know, the body line looks like it's straight going down it, which is good. So I'm pretty happy with this. So I think this panel's about prepped and ready to go, minus this inner part. I'm gonna get that thing straightened as best I can. We're just gonna be plug welding that thing, so it really won't matter too much what goes on in here. I'm just gonna make sure that I pull that down straight again, get it lined up on the white Galaxie, and get this sucker welded in. Okay, so as you can see, this thing's not in really good shape. So what we're gonna end up doing is cutting and sectioning the damaged section out. There's another spot right here. I know you guys probably saw this the second I took this panel. I feel like, oh damn, it needs an outer wheelhouse. And I mean, honestly, this car could probably use it, but like spots like over here are fine. Spots up top are fine. I don't really see too much damage up there. It's just a bunch of peeling paint. You can see I got bright and shiny right here, so it's not really that bad. And I think it's good enough to where we can stitch a panel in. It'll be fine. I've already spent a lot of money on this car. I'm trying to save some money where I can. So the correct way maybe, yeah, would be to get an outer wheelhouse, but we're gonna repair this one and it'll work just fine. So I'm gonna section this damaged section out in 2 spots, and then I'm just gonna make a whole new patch. I'm just gonna cut the whole thing out on the bottom and cut that guy right there all the way through, and then I'll hand make this whole piece. Really straightforward. It's a straight piece with a curve on the bottom. Shouldn't be that hard to make. So I'll go ahead and make it out of new steel and get this thing welded in. All right guys, got that first patch in. Like I said, you guys don't need to change an entire wheelhouse if you don't have to. So that welded in actually quite nicely. That tells me that the metal behind this is actually in halfway decent shape. And if I stick my hand back here, it's actually not as pitted as it looks. This is actually pretty clean metal. So it welded pretty well. I just gotta go back and grind some of this. Doesn't really matter too much because we're covering this anyways. But now on the bottom, I have a nice clean patch to weld the actual body to, which is great. So I'm just gonna repeat that right here. I'm gonna go ahead and weld a new patch in here, come back when that's done, and then we'll go ahead and finish trimming this bottom section out and get the new quarter, which I have over there, lined up and put on this car. Okay, so this patch is done, this patch is done. I know somebody's probably gonna comment on my quarter extension. So these are technically normally 2 pieces. The outer wheelhouse and then the quarter trunk extension. They're normally seamed right there. Well, I didn't have much of a seam left, to be honest. So I threw that out, I made it 1 piece. It's not a big deal. If you were gonna do a trunk extension, you would probably have the quarter panel off to begin with to get in there and weld the bottom. So if anybody's ever in this quarter panel again, you just cut down the center of it and split it that way, but this will work. I grinded the bottom welds so they're all smooth, so this panel fits in nice. I'm just gonna leave the top ones, it doesn't really matter. And then I got the rest of this bottom part off down here. I just drilled my smaller hole and then took the rotary bit and just kind of went around it. Cut my finger like I always do. But this panel now, this is much bigger, as you can see where the tape line is. I purposely cut it large like you should. If you look right here, this lines up perfectly because we cut out all the old material. So I'll push that on, clamp it, and then I can stitch weld in here. And then it lines up all the way around. You can see the body line lines up down it, all the way to here, and then all the way across. So I'll just kind of clamp this thing up as tight as I can get it on this lower wheelhouse part. And then we'll basically, I'll extend my tape lines. I'll pull these tape lines up so I can see where they're at. I'll probably cut right in the center of it, and I'll cut through both panels at the same time. And what that'll do is it'll give me a perfect 1/16 of an inch gap in between both panels. They'll be perfectly gapped, and then I'll be able to just push it in and stitch weld it up, and that'll give me a perfect gap to weld in. Then I'll just have to clamp it. It'll be super easy. So I'm hoping I can get this thing welded in the next like 2 hours or so. If nothing else, I just want to get stitched in today so I can come back and stitch weld it and grind it. So yeah, it should go pretty smooth, but I'm pretty happy with this repair so far. So I'm going to get that rest of that all cut up. Doing good.
How thick?
Thick. No, I'm just
Thick?
kidding.
Oh.
It's where it's all one color.
All one color.
All one color.
Oop.
This one's definitely drooped, so maybe we should pull that back some.
There it goes right there. Oh, I want to do this. Alright, well, got the panel all fitted and cut. That was probably the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done on a car, but you can see it lines up perfectly. All the way around. Looks really good. So, in case you guys were confused, I am using spare parts from my red car to fix the white one, because we will probably be selling this car one day, and I'm using brand new panels on my red car. So I figured instead of just throwing these panels away and filling this car with Bondo, I might as well try to sheet metal and stitch this stuff in and try to repair this car at least the right way to my own knowledge. So that thing's in there straight too. I'm pretty happy with that. So pull the tape off, start grinding and cleaning everything, mock it back up, start stitch welding that thing in, and you will never know if I cut it out. Okay guys, this is our last final fit, test fit. We're about to weld this thing in. I can push this guy in and it lines up perfectly. So I'd say that looks pretty dang good all the way down it. That body line lines up really well, so I'm happy with that. And then up front right here, this one will go push in and this one will pull out. When I pull up on that, these two line up. So I think that's about as good as we're gonna get it. And I'm okay with that. That is a hell of a lot better than it was. The only downside is I gotta pull the panel back off to seam seal the bracelets right here, put it back on, stick it on, and then weld it. Alright guys, I'm about done over here with this thing, but we do have a rust-free quarter now. Look at that. So, you can see my car is pretty much dead straight at this point. minus the one ding I have on the door, but you guys probably don't remember, but I had a huge smashed up area down here on the bottom. I have a little bit right here, but that's not that bad. It just looks bad. This is all straight now. You can see I got that body line straight. And the panel's in. So use what you got. So this was a spare panel because, like I said earlier, we're selling this car probably. So I just wanted to something better than body filler. So I got this panel tacked in. And we will continue to weld that and grind it off in the next video and hopefully get some primer on it. And you will most likely not know it was ever done. The only really remnants of anything that was ever done is in that wheel well right there. You can see the primer. So I'll have to spray some more sound deadening material in there to get that all cleaned up. But pretty happy with that, I must say. So. But yeah, so we got a lot of stuff coming with both cars with the auto metal direct panels, so this was a spare panel. So no, I'm not parting out my red car for this car now anymore. We're restoring both cars. There's no sense in me parting one car out, but I'm probably gonna sell this one. I'm gonna keep my red one. So we're putting AMD quarters, the full quarter on my red car. So I cut the quarters off that car to put on this to fix the rust in this one. So that's kind of why we did that. Just better usage of pieces rather than throwing it away. You know, made it work and it looks pretty good in the car. So looks a lot better than it did. So, but anyways, this is my first quarter panel. So I don't think you can't do sheet metal if you've never done it before. Just take your time, you know, measure a billion times. I spent an entire day just fitting that. So it's been like 2 days since the last section of clips, you know, when we first initially cut it. I spent a full day today actually getting this thing fitted before I welded it because I wanted to make sure my body lines are perfect. So I got that all said and done, and I think it's gonna look really good when we grind it and weld it in the next video. So thank you guys a ton for watching. Like the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are new. Share this with a friend. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.